Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I'm excited today because we have an episode that sort of bridges the world of tactical magic. As you guys may know, if you've been listening for a while, I tend to do episodes either in the spiritual, transformational healing, elevating our lives, stepping into leadership realm, or talk more strategic business and marketing advice. Or talk to experts who have strategic tools for business and marketing. It's not all the time that we do both in one episode, but I'm thinking today that that's going to happen. So let's pause for a second and we'll be right back. It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur. Welcome back. So today we have Pearl Cox, digital communications consultant and managing director of Pearl Cox International Ltd. Pearl helps director-level women fed up with the corporate grind to move into a place of work-life balance and harmony by showing how to build a business using their transferable skills and also adopting the laws of attraction to allow them to work in flow and manifest their desires in business and in life. Welcome, Pearl. I'm happy to have you.
Hello, Molly. I'm so looking forward to this. When I saw your bio and my bio, it just feels like it's like we're twins in certain things we do. So I've been really looking forward to this.
Yes, me too. I love picking the brain of somebody whose brain works like mine. So tell me, let's start out with the magic side of it before we get into the nitty gritty that we may discover. What brought you to the law of attraction? How have you found it and how have you been using it in your life?
Right, I'd probably say it's probably 4 or 5 years I've been using it now. Where I'm based here in the UK, I got to the top of my tree for digital consultancy here, and I work with public and private sector, doing so much work. I hit burnout. I get to the stage I was working hours upon hours. My body just stopped. I got a cough that lasted a bit longer, which went to a chest infection and went to pneumonia. And I'm thinking, this is something is telling me I'm doing this wrong. I need to find a work-life balance. So I went back to my spiritual bit. As a child, I used to see things. I used to see things that other people didn't see. We probably see them as ghosts, as spirits and things like that. Scared the living daylights out of me. So I stopped and ran away from that. And then suddenly I started to embrace it again when it came to looking at that law of attraction, listening to The Secret and the message and that whole idea of affirmations, being positive, bring that into the world of business. And then you've got that crossover where you can look after yourself and get that work-life balance right. And then by the affirmations, you can manifest exactly what you want for yourself and for your business. So that's how it comes. And I'm afraid I've already jumped across both things because that's what I do.
Okay. That happens. So how did you start integrating it as a practice into your life?
First of all, I started doing, I think, what everyone does. I looked at things and there was all these law of attraction groups on Facebook. So I had to go at joining every one of them. And there'd be this post that says, you will win $2 million or something if you write yes or 888 in the thing, because it was basically clickbait to get people to do this. And so I try all that and I'm thinking, this doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And the more I looked at it, I thought, no, you've got to do a bit of work as well. So I started, I got into the stuff that Gabby Bernstein does. I listened to a lot of her work, listening to Esther and Abraham Hicks, listening to that. And then it was just people I was connected with. Without realizing it, the universe was already bringing those people that were aligned to me. And I suddenly realized, yes, it clicked. And then when you do something, you put your affirmations out there, but you then have to do the work on yourself to actually do it. It's not all this, it's not like a wish where you say an affirmation and suddenly think, yes, it's going to happen. You have to truly, truly believe it with your heart and soul and put that out there and then do the work to actually bring these things in. And then suddenly a few months later I suddenly realized it's working. All these things I'd put in place or asked for, suddenly started to happen. Before lockdown, I'd got this idea. My trajectory was going to be, I wanted to be an international speaker, and I put that as on my vision board as a goal, and nothing seemed to be happening. And then I suddenly thought, during lockdown, I became a radio host. So I had 2 radio shows on an internet radio. I set my own podcast up. I've been an international speaker on 3 or 4 global events now. I'm now being asked to be a guest on other podcasts. And I suddenly thought, that's I've manifested what I wrote down, but sometimes you don't realize it's there until you step back and you suddenly realize it's worked. This whole law of attraction, ask the universe thing starts to work.
It really is. And maybe when you said that, you thought, oh, I want to be invited like live on stage onto somebody's stage to speak to their audience. And that will mean I'm an international speaker. But the truth is, you said international speaker and you are speaking to international audiences, and thus abracadabra, poof, the vision is manifest. Yeah. So I think that's a really powerful lesson in and of itself. Number 1 is pay attention to what you're asking for. And if an action shows up that matches the energy of that, take that action. It's not a passive thing. Manifestation isn't just, oh, I make a wish and then poof, someday it shows up. It's like, no, you have to take steps toward the energetic like thing that you want. Sometimes that's a leap of faith. Sometimes that's an actual action to produce something. Sometimes it's like showing up to do something scary, have a conversation you don't normally want to have to try and get to a place in a relationship you haven't been before. There's a lot of different ways that action can show up. But I love what you said also. It's easier to notice it in hindsight. I think one of the reasons that is we're so focused on the next thing, like, great, I'm a speaker now. I'm going to focus on this next project. I want to write this book, or I want to build this other aspect of my business, that we don't take a second and say, look, I asked for this and now it's happened. And I think that actually our magic gets more potent when we acknowledge it in that way. And I've had the experience a bunch recently where I'll find I make lists everywhere. I use Trello, I use Asana, I use notebooks, I use literally every kind of project organization tool. And I'll find old lists of visions that I wanted or targets or goals for the future that I wanted. And every time I come across one, I have to check off multiple things because I forgot that I asked for that. And then poof, it exists in my reality now. And that's because I took the steps, but also because I asked for it. I think a lot of people are just scared to ask for it. So tell us a little bit about your clients and how that relationship goes, because I know, like me, you do a lot of technical support. You do a lot of for one thing, you're broadcasting a powerful message out there, but you help people with their digital strategy, their online marketing, it sounds like, implementation, SEO, advertising, communications, social media campaigns, all kinds of stuff. Similar to how I help people in the technical side of their business, but you're also supporting them with the inner work. So where do people usually reach out to you? Where are they at in their journey when they come to find you for work?
Right, it varies. Where we started, where we said about my company, the Pearl Cox International, I do that for my corporate clients. This is where I've been. The last 5-6 years, I've been lucky enough to be doing all the engagement work from strategy to implementation for the central government here in the UK. So I've written engagement pieces, thought leadership programs, brand ambassador programs. So that's how I'm a communications consultant. A lot of people think because I do social media, that's all I do. But to understand communications, you and I know it comes in so many different realms, so many different channels. But for online, the digital side, a lot of it is the social media realm. So I'm known for that. But then I'm finding more and more with lockdown where I get my work through. It's like contracted, almost like freelance. But the way we are in the UK, there's a specific contract that goes out. I'm then approached and said, right, we want you to deliver this set piece. But that kind of went quiet when we were in lockdown because nothing was happening. I thought, right, rebrand, pivot, see where I can go. And that's when I started doing the coaching side where I could bring the skills I've had in corporate, both public and private sector, to actually bring them to one-to-one or smaller businesses. And that's where the crossover, when it comes to the law of attraction, to the spiritual side, using affirmations, using oracle cards, actually working with my spirit guides, working with my angels, understanding that. And suddenly, by being brave and saying, I do both, like we said before, the universe has brought the right people there. It's amazing. I worked for Transport for Wales recently, one of our public service things that runs all the trains and all the transport here in Wales. And they asked me to introduce myself. So I went from my LinkedIn profile and I said, I'm a communications consultant, business and spiritual coach and everything, and thought nothing of it. And then I had the one-to-one meeting with all the teams. And the first thing every person said was, you said about spirituality, I'd love to have a coffee with you and talk to you about more about that, because I'm bringing that into my day-to-day stuff. And this is when I thought, the universe has listened. They are bringing the right people, even down to the corporate clients, to bring in the right people that will connect with what I'm doing. Because they're now, as we've said, that whole business side and the spiritual side, you can bring it together. It helps the mental health ideas, it helps your well-being, but it also helps you to manifest all the fantastic stuff, all the stuff you do in business where you're working hard and working towards your goals. You bring that whole understanding of law of attraction and spirituality into it. It's like you're in with rocket fuel. It's like your business is just propelled forward. And where we said before, I see law of attraction as a triangle, where you've got these three sides, that you put the affirmation out there, you do the work, and as we know, the universe abhors that vacuum. So as soon as you make that space, you do the work on yourself and move forward, you have this vacuum, and the universe brings in all the things you've put out there that you want, and that's how you manifest. And that's how I get to work with people. It's just, you can probably hear the way I'm talking. I love what I do.
Yeah,
it's like I'm physically bouncing, because when I start talking about what I do, that passion comes through. And people just listen to me. And like we said, I'm on a lot of different platforms now, and I'm finding people are actually reaching out. And yes, they're either asking to work one-to-one, or I'm finding I'm getting asked to be part of collaborations, and that's on an international stage, and that's lovely to see the potential from that.
And it might be time to leverage that into group programs and online courses where people can get access to you without it having to be the one-on-one rate. I want to point out one really important thing here that you're dancing on and talking about, but I just want to zero in on it, which is there's a limiting point of view out there that says, if I go towards this spiritual stuff, if I listen to that intuition, if I start playing this game of law of attraction, then I'm going to have to start wearing, flowy tie-dye clothes and jangles on my wrists like some of us do. And, like cleanse my crystals under the full moon and do all this far out like stuff that doesn't necessarily resonate with my identity, and it won't be in alignment. And what you're telling us is that you can be a corporate professional, you can be a boss person with like a very straight and narrow life, and also have this deep spiritual side to you that makes your life function more fully. And it doesn't mean you have to become some crazy woo-woo hippie who dances in the rain. Like, sure, do that if you want to. We like it sometimes, but you don't have to change who you are to begin implementing some of these practices, which allow you to live a more fulfilling, more enthusiastic existence where life comes to you with ease, rather than you feeling like you're pushing water uphill with a broom every day of your life. So that's one thing. The other thing is that that anyone can do this. Like there's tools to go out and actually take action and start bringing this practice into your life. And if you don't know how to do that, it's okay to get support with it. That's a super important point, that you don't necessarily, like, I was raised believing in this stuff, so I feel like I have a knowledge about it that's a little bit like foundational compared to other people. But if you weren't taught this stuff yet, go study it. practice it, try it, see if it works for you. Literally the only way to know that it doesn't work for you or that it doesn't work, period, is to try and prove it wrong by giving it a real shot at trying. And that can look a lot of different ways for different people. So tell us more about the business side. When people come and they're ready to grow their businesses or start their businesses, like, what are your favorite things to support them with? What are some of your favorite tools for business strategy?
What I tend to really excel at, and again, lockdown has probably helped me hone this, because of what I do with social media, I've got very large networks, because I don't believe in saying you can do something without backing it up with proof. And I seem to have this knack of bringing people together and bringing networks together and grow. Like for International Women's Day this year, I did this one post from Facebook. I had a memory come up that said that I'd spoken for International Women's Day about 4 years ago at a girls' school here in the UK, and I ended up speaking to all the secondary school. I had an assembly hall full of 300 girls where I told my story, a woman that excels in a male-dominated area. I got standing ovations, and I had girls asking to work with me and everything from there. So I shared it. And then this is where the guide came in and sort of said, you should suggest something. So I didn't even have an image. I just had a post, and I said, this is a memory from before. I'd love to do something. Who'd like to join me for International Women's Day this year? It went viral, literally using the stuff, like you said, how do I work with business? I used my business acumen, and I started to promote things. I started to run panels where I had women from all over the world join this. And within the first 10 days of March on LinkedIn, I'd hit the top 1% engagement. I got this little badge, which, yes, I know LinkedIn, but this little badge that it doesn't show on your profile, but it comes in on your alerts, and it says you've hit the top 1% engagement of LinkedIn. And I hit it twice in 10 days because I had all these people saying, Pearl, we want to be in your thing. And I've got people on my podcast booked up through until October, still as part of the International Women's Day, where where they're telling their story. But on top of that, because I use my technology, my digital understanding, at the end of March, when I did my analytics, my LinkedIn engagement had risen by 25,000%. And I mean, yes, normally you can get high engagement, like my Facebook had gone up by 7,000. So it was all triple figures and onwards. And this is just literally using how can people work with me. For corporate, I do what I call a digital audit. I'll go in and I look at all their landscape and say what's working, what isn't, where they can save money, where they need to maybe put more money in. Normally it ends up being a white paper that I'll write, and then I'll write a forward look paper. And then depending on budget and where they are in the financial year, I normally get to stay and actually roll out all the ideas from the forward look. And that's how I tend to stay there for about 18 months. When it comes to maybe smaller companies or people that just started to grow, that's when I do the coaching, where I can either do one-to-one, but like you said, I've got online courses that I'm developing. I do online retreats. The whole Pearls of Wisdom piece, which is a play on my name, has just gone mad. The branding from that. Yeah. I had a download from my guides, and I had 2 A4 sheets of paper. One night I couldn't sleep, so I thought, right, I need to write. And I literally had all these ideas for corporate, where it can be training, and whether I'm looking at doing ebooks and actually doing workshops where I run that on a monthly basis that people can subscribe to. And it's just all that. It's seeing, what do you know, and then what content do you produce, and how can you reuse it to engage with all the different learning styles that your potential customers and clients could use. And then you can just fly with that. When you understand that digital realm and where you can actually put that information out, one thing maybe like the discussion we're having now, that could become a piece that then becomes it could become an ebook just from the top 10 tips or something that we're sharing.
Totally,
and you could pull that out, or you could actually use that as a start to run a workshop, or you could actually say, right, yes, people like what they're doing, ultimately do the one-to-one, but I'm now looking at doing the VIP elite masterminds, where you do, it's working one-to-one, but maybe in a small group, maybe 5 people, where you do a fully immersive thing for 3 days, where it's all run on Zoom, which equates to 12 sessions, but also doing that's where you reuse the information and turn it into a 12-month program, because those 12 sessions become, each session will become a 1-month training piece that then gives you the content to populate a program or course that lasts for 12 months. So it's using that information, repurposing, and just using those transferable skills.
Yeah, I do that with almost every course that I run. Is I run it live, and then I take the live recordings, and it becomes the home study version of the course. And that can also become, pieces of it can become online trainings for YouTube, or for an opt-in or a gift or whatever. And that is such a valuable point. Anyone out there who's listening, who's trying to develop content, reuse your own stuff, record yourself doing everything. Make sure that you're pulling from your own wisdom. Just because you shared something once doesn't mean you can't share it again, or break it into chunks and share it in a different format. Absolutely. I know that you've got an expertise in the corporate world, and I also know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are listening right now. So would you give us a couple pointers, a couple first thing to pay attention to when it comes to using the law of attraction in your business and getting visible online, and what to focus on first with your online presence?
What I do, for the law of attraction piece, quite often I will do a personal audit, and it's something I do one-to-one, or it's part of my training, where you actually look, where are you now? Where do you want to be in, say, a month's time, 3 months' time, 6 months? And you can go as far ahead as you want, and then see what steps you want to do. You record that, and then those steps that you want to do, if you write them as a law of attraction thing, that you actually write it down, that you've already achieved it. As we all know, the universe doesn't know the difference whether it's now or whether it's 6 months' time. If you're saying that it's happening now, that's what they bring. That's what the universe will bring to you, and it helps you manifest fantastic things into a business. But it can just help with just confidence and things like that, and just seeing. So it helps you get into that mindset. Like if you're looking to grow on a one-to-one thing through corporate, and you want to move up in your career, you might not want to work for yourself, or you might be wanting to make that next level jump. Still use law of attraction and see yourself on that next level, and then see, yes, how can you work with someone to actually put that in place? Because quite often we think, yes, we know this, and mostly when you're entrepreneurial and you want to move forward, you've got so many skills that you can bring into your toolbox and use. But sometimes that's when we have to step back and say, I can't do it all, even though I'd like to. That's when you need to step back, and that might be when you bring in a coach to help you, which is again where I say I've worked with the director level women that are maybe want to move away from corporate and want to use those skills to work externally on their own. I can start sharing with that and let people see where their skills are and where they can transfer them and bring them into working for themselves and to be an entrepreneur, and reuse those skills and that information. And it's just seeing how do you work from there. And as I said before, almost starting from a collaboration. Where can people work? Where can you see synchronicities that where your skill set fits, and you bring, say, 3 key people together? That quality that you bring will put you up against maybe the top 5 consultancies or something, because the quality of 3 good entrepreneurs working together, you can go up against a large company. You can charge equal to and deliver higher, because you're all passionate about what you do and you can put those skills into place. So that's the way I tend to work and sort of think of all these different things. Like I said, you start with that audit, see where you're going and see where it takes you from there. And the more you're seeing that, helps with your goals, helps you to know when to move forward, but it also helps you plan and see where you need to bring other people in, or where you need to upskill yourself. If you're getting to a certain level and you think, oh, I haven't done that for a while, or researching and bringing something new in, that's when you learn to research and actually do the work on yourself at the same time.
Yeah, very good advice. it's important to pay attention to where you want to get to. I think it's really easy in this reality, in this life. And for most people, especially if you're working hard to, get forward in life, it's really easy to not pay attention to what you actually want more of. I think that's one of the gifts that this quarantine time gave a lot of people, is the step back moment to look at, is this really the life I want to be living? Is this really the job I want to be spending all of my time at? Is this really the place in my life that I want to be, like, spatially in this part of the world or whatever? And I think a lot of people are making big changes now, a year and a half or so later, to choose a different reality, to choose a different path in their life, because they've been giving that moment of awareness to say, you know what, that's not the life I want to be living. I want to try something different and do something more. So yeah, paying attention to what you want to create and whether or not you're taking steps to move in that direction. Absolutely. So you have an amazing podcast, which I'm very excited to come and be on also. Will you tell us a little bit more about how people can find you? I know you're on every platform, but tell us a little bit more about your podcast and how people can get a hold of you.
Podcast, surprise, surprise, is called Pearls of Wisdom, and it literally everything, all my branding is Pearls of Wisdom now. So yes, I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on all the platforms for that. And what I do mainly is interviews, and I cannot wait for when you and I do our interviews. I'm really looking forward to that. Currently, if you look for me on Linktree/La Peregrina, that's where you will find I've got my links to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram, and some of the courses and everything I'm running is all under there, because I just find it's easier than having the one website. I'll build funnels and stuff instead. So I've just put it all under the Linktree/La Peregrina link for that. So, and then, or just look for my name. If you put Pearl Cox into LinkedIn or onto Facebook and everything, I'm normally the first person that comes up if it's got Pearls of Wisdom there, because like I said, the size of my network, it tends to pull in through the search engines quicker than anything else. So you can find me quite easily there.
Awesome. So definitely everybody go and follow Pearl and her podcast, Pearls of Wisdom. We'll also put the link to that Linktree/La Peregrina in the show notes of this episode. Because that way you'll easily have access to her and her brilliant wisdom. And I like to ask this almost every time I have a guest on the show. What are some final pearls of wisdom that you'd like to share with the world before we sign off?
What I say to everyone is dream as much as you can. Just aim as high as you can, and fully believe you can achieve absolutely anything you set your mind to. I mean, this discussion you and I are having, the synchronicities that simply come about, I truly believe, by dreaming, knowing that you can achieve anything, and then the right people come together. And I'd say everyone believe in that, and you aim for the stars and you can't go wrong.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Pearl, for being on the show. And thank you, everyone out there, for tuning in to another episode of Tactical Magic Podcast. As always, you can find more at wildheartsriseup.com/podcast. And there are some Patreon links there. If you'd like to support the show, you get some bonuses and some snail mail sent to you by me at certain levels of supporting the show. And whatever happens, keep asking big questions and taking bold action, because you are here for a reason. Bye.